Today is my daughter's birthday. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the day of her actual birthday. So 28 years ago today, my daughter Megan was born. And at the time, when she first came out of the womb, she came out blue like babies do, and she stayed blue for quite a while. She did not pink up. She wasn't breathing when she was born. So we immediately had a crisis situation on our hands. And she was swarmed by a team of doctors and nurses to try to figure out why she wasn't breathing. And as they were examining her, they identified pretty quickly that she most likely had Down syndrome. So they told us this news. They said they didn't know why she wasn't breathing, and they brought her over to my face. And that night, I was not able to hold her. I gave her a little kiss on the cheek, and then she was brought up to the NICU. To see why she wasn't breathing and to certainly get oxygen into her body. So that night it was hard to not be able to see her and hold her, especially given the news that we had just been given. It was very, very difficult. The medical team would not let me go up to the NICU to see her that night. I had a difficult labor and had some medical issues that they didn't think it was safe for me to go see her at that time. I honestly don't understand why not. I asked if they would wheel my bed up and they wouldn't. And I didn't know enough to actually advocate for myself at that time. I think if it happened today, it would be a different story, but I didn't know that back then. So then the next morning, we found out that she had a very serious heart defect, which was why she was not able to pink up and take in oxygen like she should. So they kept her in the NICU for a couple of weeks. She needed to learn how to eat and all these things, and she needed to gain some weight, and she needed to be growing and thriving before we were able to bring her home. We needed to get her big enough so that her heart was big enough to be operated on and her body would be able to endure the operation. And so she did have heart surgery at 14 weeks, but we had to do it sooner rather than later. They wanted to wait till 6 months, but that's probably a whole other video. So she came home on Christmas Eve, which is why I'm in front of a Christmas tree right now. And she was home about 6 hours, and she was on a thicker formula. So the formula was meant to add the calories. We wanted her to grow, we wanted her to thrive, get her big enough to be able to endure the surgery, so she needed to take on more calories. So about 6 hours into her being home on Christmas Eve, she started to choke. The formula was too thick, and it was blocking her airway, and she couldn't breathe. She was choking. So we had to call 911 and have the ambulance come and take her to the hospital. And a super scary time, super scary time. Brand new parents for our first child. On the way to the hospital at some point, I don't remember when, she sneezed. And when she sneezed, she cleared her airway. And so she was able to remedy it herself with the sneeze. So we got to the hospital and her heart rate was through the roof. I mean, crazy. And with her heart defect the way it was, when she was resting, her heart was beating as though she were running a marathon when she was still. So when she exerted herself in any way, her heart rate went even higher, and that's obviously very concerning. So anyway, we were there for a while, and her heart rate after the event rectified itself with a sneeze. Her heart rate started to come back down, and we're at the hospital, and we were all, it was my husband and I and Megan in the middle on this little twin bed at the hospital, and we were just looking at each other going, well, it's Christmas Eve, like when can we go home? And so we asked the medical team, what are the criteria? What are we looking for now in order to be able to release us? And I'm sure they were completely short-staffed. Again, it was Christmas Eve, so they didn't really know. There was no set criteria that they were hoping to see. They just wanted to monitor her just to make sure she was okay. But we thought, well, the incident is over. She's better now. We're going to back off on the formula so that she doesn't have such thick formula, so she should be safe to be able to come home and consume food safely. So I can't believe we did this at the time. When I think about it now, it's crazy. We're brand new parents. We've been parents for 2 weeks. And we decided to unplug her and bring her home. So we unplugged all of the medical stuff around her, and we took off all the leads, and we brought her home. There are probably some of you medical people out there like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. And you're right. We probably shouldn't have. But honestly, we just been through it, and we just needed to be home on Christmas Eve. And we said, well, if she does have something else, we will take her back to the hospital. We would obviously take care of her. And so anyway, that was her welcoming into the world. So why do I share this with you on her 28th birthday? And I share this with you because that was the start of just a lifelong change for my husband and I and our whole family, because 2.5 years later our son was born. And it just, her existence just changed our trajectory in such a significant way that I wanted just to talk to you a little bit about that. So that day was just a huge day in so many ways. Obviously, we were parents for the first time, and just were thrown into learning about how does somebody with Down syndrome learn all the things that she needs to learn in order to be an adult. And we had our struggles. There's no doubt we had a lot of struggles and a lot of difficult times. And but we also had way many better, happy times than we did the difficult times. But we figured out the stuff that we needed to figure out. And so she doesn't live in our home anymore because she lives in a group home 2 hours away from us. But every birthday, when she was living in our home, I would hold her at her birth hour because we weren't able to hold her that night. So I would hold her at that hour. And we still talk about it, even though she's not living here. I can't do it this birthday. But I told her I'm going to see her on Saturday and I will hug her then, instead of being able to hug her during that time. So what it did, her birth did though, is it was the beginning of a transformation of us as people, my husband and I. And honestly, probably particularly me, because what happened was prior to her birth, I was living an inauthentic life as a marketing research analyst. And what was I? I forget what my title even was. Manager, director, I don't even know, at a juice company. And I was doing marketing research. For people who know me, will know that I hate math. Always have hated math, have never been particularly good at math. And for whatever reason, I was able to do this marketing research job and I was doing okay. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't really living my authentic self at that time. In comes Megan, and I did that job for a while because it honestly paid the bills. And then I just decided that I couldn't live like that anymore. I couldn't live in this inauthentic way, and I needed to change what I was doing. And so I decided to eventually open up a social skills company. And I started Simply Social Skills LLC. And for 18 years have been coaching children, teens, young adults to make friends. And for me, that's my authentic self. And so her like existence in the world, her coming to us the way she did, it just put me on the right path. And so I guess what I wanted to share with you on this birthday for Megan is, first of all, I wanted to say thank you, Megan, for being here and for being the light of our lives and for putting me personally on the path I should have been on. And little did I know at that time that's what it was, but you knew, and you came and you put me on that right path. And I will tell you that, both my husband and I, and even our son, who again came 2.5 years later, we're better people now than we were then. Just in a lot of ways that would be too long to explain here. But just so please join me on this birthday just to wish Megan a happy birthday with me. If you're watching this video wherever you are, whether it's email or YouTube or wherever, just put in the comments a happy birthday to Megan. I will show her every single one of them. She loves that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to share her story and kind of how things that come to you unexpectedly can really lead you to really, really incredible places. So happy holidays, everyone, and happy birthday to Megan.